Hello everyone. So after the last lab session, many students have managed to make a simple synthesizer using a MIDI controller. But I believe many of you also wondering why the sound is not natural. And every time you press and release the key, the note just disappear and appear suddenly like this. That is because the synthesizer does not have an amplitude envelope. If we look at the graphs here, on the left side is what called a normal amplitude envelope, and on the right side is what we have actually straight on when we press the key, and when we release it straight off. So actually what we want to have is rather like this. When we press the key, the note is not jump to maximum directly. Instead, it ramps up gradually to a certain point in certain time, which is called the attack time. Then the signal will drop down to a sustained value, which it will maintain as long as the key is pressed. Then when you decide to release the key, the volume is not dropped, will not be dropped to zero immediately either. It's like when we are playing a string instrument, and when we release note, the sound will gradually fade out, which is the release time. So now we know what an amplitude envelope is. The next thing we need to do is just create an envelope to shape the volume of the sound. And let's do it in PD. So now if we look at the synthesizer here, we can ignore the final part here, which is the volume control first. Just drag it down, delete the connection later. And what we want to have is we want to insert envelope after the oscillator, after the signal. So if we look back at the graph, what we need to do is we need to multiply the signal by the envelope here. So first of all, there are 4 parameters: attack, decay, sustain, and release. Let's make these 4 parameters first. The sustain value we already have, which is the velocity of the sound. And then we need to create 3 sliders for controlling the parameters of the attack, the decay, and the release. Let me put 3 comments in it. Then we need to adjust the range of the slider, because originally it's only from 0 to 127. For example, I put 4000 here, which is 4000 milliseconds or 4 seconds. Then the minimum amount is 20 instead of 0, so that it will prevent from clicking. Then we just need to adjust the range of other parameters. So the decays, so the maximum of decays is 1 second. Okay. And release, we put a slightly longer release, maximum release time, which is 5 seconds. And change the minimum value as well. Okay, now we have all the control parameters we need for an amplitude envelope. Let's just move this thing here. This part is the sustain value, and because the range is from 0 to 127, we need to divide it by 127 so that we can make the range from 0 to 1. Now the next step is also the key part of this. We need a ramp. We need an object which will create a ramp for the envelope. This object is called vline tilde. If you look at the help, it's called audio ramp generator. This object will read a message. So let's create a message box and link it to the left inlet of the object. So first of all, we need to tell the object what's the first destination is in this case, if we look at the peak after the attack is 1, so we put 1 here, then we need to tell the object how long it takes to reach to the first destination. In this case, it's 2000. Then we need to put a comma. And the next argument is the second destination, which is the sustain value, 0.8 here. Then how long it takes to reach to 0.8 is 1 second here. Then we need to put the waiting time. It should be exactly the same as the attack time, so that we ensure that decay will happen right after the attack. So here's 2000 again. Now we managed to make an attack and a decay with fixed numbers, or of course, because it's a message box, it needs something to trigger it. Let me put a band object to demonstrate. If I click on the band and play the note as well, but they are fixed number at the moment in the message box. We need to replace those message into parameters, into variables which we create. And what we need is a pack object. A pack object will pack several messages, several variables together as a whole list and send out all together. Let me just link everything up first, then I will explain later. If you look at the pack object, all those 4F indicates 4 float input. But we only have 3 parameters which we need to control: attack, decay, and sustain. But we also need a trigger message, which is the note, the pitch, so that every time we press the key, a new pitch is sent in. It would trigger the whole envelope. We need to put that trigger message into the first inlet, because the first inlet is the hot inlet. So every time, only when the first inlet is changed, the whole message will be sent out. Now, let me just make a list so that we can see what we have here. The first one is $1. It indicates the first variable. This is the pitch. Is for triggering the pack. The second variable is our attack time, and the third variable is decay. The fourth is your sustain value, also velocity. Now we need to change that into variable. Now we need to change the fixed number into variable. So the 2000 millisecond is actually the second variable, is the attack time. 0.8, notice 0.8 on the graph is actually the sustain values. So it's sorry for my pronunciation, $4. And then decay time, right? Decay time is $3, is the third variable. And 2000 again is the waiting time. Remember, the waiting time is always equal to the attack time. So it's $2 again. Now we almost change all the fixed number into variables in the message box. Okay, this is actually not a very good demonstration. I will show that again when we actually finish, because we haven't got a release at the moment. So now I will introduce another concept. Is the object is called strip node. Basically, strip node will ignore zero velocity, which indicates nodes off. So that even if we release the nodes, the velocity will still stay the same. This is very important for the first part of the envelope we made, particularly the sustain value. Because the sustain value is actually the velocity, if we don't use strip node, every time we release the node, this velocity will drop to 0, which means the sustained value will drop to 0 as well immediately. So we are having the same problem all over again. So that we also need another ramp to fade out the volume if we release the node. So we need to do it separately. I put an object called cell. It means select. Select 0 means when the input value is 0, it will send out to the left output. And if it's not, it will be sent out to the right output instead. Then if we're going to do another ramp, we're going to put another message box, of course. But this time, the destination is 0 because it's fading out. We also need a pack object. It's the same idea as before. It's simply because when we change the release parameters, it won't fade out anything. The fading out will only happen when we release the node. So we need the velocity. That's why we put select 0. So when we recognize a node off, we need to bound the fade out. And in the message box is $2, which is the second parameters of the pack object, and also the release slider, as you can see. Now it's all done. We can demonstrate it properly now. Let me turn down the attack and decay just to show you how the release work. Now I'm pressing the key. Release it. Try a shorter release time. Then if I turn up the attack, now if you follow this step, you'll be able to make an amplitude envelope yourself. I hope this makes sense, and thank you.